Alrighty, welcome back to Salty Saints. My name is Hayden Holm, and today I am joined by none other than Sam St. Laurent, all the way from South Carolina. Is that right?
Yes, the southern of the Carolinas. Yep.
Yes, sir. And I want to say it was a few weeks ago, we were on a live stream, and we were talking about a church post that was heard round the world of the LDS community. Well, here we are again. I'm feeling like Bill Murray and Groundhog's Day. We are gathered here because the church social media arm, they must have been watching that episode. We said, hey, could we maybe get a man next time in the story? And they said, absolutely. So we're going to pull that up and get right into this. So this is straight from the social media arm of the church. This is the official account. And the man that they decided to highlight was none other than this boy right here. So we got, this is straight from the Church Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints Instagram account. It says, I am Pono. I am from Hawaii. I grew up military and moved a lot. I came to New York about 5 years ago to study fashion at Parsons and just graduated. Now I design women's wear for a brand that we show at New York Fashion Week, which still feels unreal in the best way. I actually started as a ballet dancer, but when my family moved to a small town, I chose to go with them instead of pursuing ballet somewhere else. I miss creating, so I learned to sew with Relief Society Sisters at church. That turned into a portfolio, then fashion school, and now a career. A lot of my inspiration comes from the women in my life. My mom held our family together through the deployments. Relief Society Sisters taught me to sew. My sister is here in New York now too, chasing her own dreams. I love designing for women and helping them feel strong, confident, and true to who they are. There is real spiritual power in femininity. Faith has always been a part of my life, and it shows up in my work in quiet ways. Very quiet ways, yes. I love exploring identity, spirituality, and purpose through clothing. Clothes can tell stories. They can carry light. There were times in fashion school where I felt different from everyone around me, but I learned not to have to choose between being creative and being a disciple of Jesus Christ. Both shape me. Both matter. I just want to create things that honor where I come from and help people feel seen and powerful. So that is from Pono. All right, Sam, first thoughts when you hear that post. What was your first reaction when you read that?
It's one of those things where, like, I don't have anything outrightly that I'm like totally, wow, this is like not something the church should be posting. Like, that's my first impression.
Yeah.
But in the back of my mind, I'm like, why do they keep even posting any of these stories? like at all.
Wait,
Like
you don't want to learn about
the ones,
Pono?
yeah, even the ones that like aren't controversial. I'm like, why
Yeah.
are they posting these? Like, what is the purpose? I still haven't figured out the
Yeah.
reason. Like, who is
It's the
this?
member spotlight. You got to have a member spotlight. You can't just not have a member spotlight.
Yeah, I
So,
mean, maybe maybe it's just like a weird place that I'm in, but like I don't feel like the church should be doing these at all. Not a
wow.
bit,
So
not a bit. Like
you're
even if
saying
it's
get rid of it
yeah,
entirely.
even if it's a person that's 100% talking about like I don't know, like if it's pick your dream scenario, right? Because I think we're going to talk about some of the people's reactions to this on X, right?
Yeah.
But like some of
Oh,
these,
totally.
even some of these reactions, I'm like, even if all of their criteria were met, I still wouldn't want to see it on the church's like official account. Does that make sense?
I see what you're saying. Yeah. So you're saying, like, why don't we just get away from this? It seems to be causing a lot of contention in the ranks. So why don't we just get rid of it? You know, my dad had that same solution. Like when we were kids and we were playing Nintendo, we were playing N64. My mom came home and she was like,
I already know where this is
"Kids,
going. Yeah.
time to help me with the groceries." And we were like, just give me like 5 minutes, Mom. We're almost done." And then my dad comes. She was like,
How about I rip the cable
"Corey!"
off?
So my dad just comes and just stomping. Just dad walks, and we're like, "Oh no, Dad, wait!" He just came in with scissors and just cut the cord right in front of us. We were just like, "Oh, what just happened?" So that is your approach there. Is cut the cord, get rid of the member spotlights. It's causing too much contention in an already contentious world. I can respect that. I can respect that. So let's get into some of the comments that we've been seeing on this. So um, some of the top comments here. Bravo. I love hearing how your creativity is such a powerful tool to bring joy and goodness to others, and by doing so, to bring others closer to Christ. I work in New York City too, and I'm sure you are blessing the lives of so many as they are influenced by your deep sense of purpose. And I got to tell you, when I first read this post, I didn't think that much of it either. I was just like, hey, look at that. There's another post. So I don't have a problem with anything that was actually said in the post. Did I have a problem that we were like, hey, could we maybe get a guy in there? And they were like, hey, here you go. Here's a guy that grew up in the Relief Society. It's like, I'll take it. You know, I'll take it at the end of the day.
Okay.
But
Are you
there are
tracking
some
these?
things that I want to get into in
Are
this
you
episode that we're going to just dive right into some of these. But
are
we're
you
going to get into
tracking
some
yours?
more.
So it sounds like you're tracking like when these come out and like are you getting these like on the regular? Because I don't like I follow them on maybe not on Instagram. Well, I might follow them on Instagram. I follow them on Facebook and like I rarely see these pop up in my feed.
Right,
But
right.
how consistently are they posting these member spotlights?
I believe they post them every month.
Yeah,
So,
so,
like
so
every
like
month, they're posting a
that's
new
a
member.
that's a problem. Like you could be doing these like every day,
Oh,
realistically.
totally. Totally.
Like
With the amount of people we got.
this is so like low tier like publishing. Like
Yeah.
you have somebody submit
Look at that.
you have a stake president here I'll give the scenario. You reach
Give
out
it.
to all the
Give
stake
the
presidents.
scenario.
You say, hey, give me one person from your stake. And then how many people do you have that you can do one person per day for the rest of the year? Like
Yeah. Yeah.
easily.
No,
Because
I
it's not
totally
like
see
they're
what you're
doing these
saying.
write ups. It's like this person's posting this write up, and then they're just okay.
Yeah.
They're probably validating
Like
it, taking the
there are
picture,
so
and
many
that's it.
people. We have so many stakes. We have so many awards. Like in
Yes.
North America alone, it's like, hey, I hear some great things are happening in Africa. I would love to get some of those members and learn more about them. You know, it's like, hey, let's see what they're like. That would do so much for the average member of the church, especially in North America, where sometimes our biggest problems are like
Is ourselves.
maybe my ice water hurts my teeth or something
Yeah.
like that, you know, because I keep drinking soda and I have weak enamel now.
Hey.
My AC makes it too
You're
cold
hitting
in
too
the
close.
summertime,
You're hitting too close
so
to
I
the
have to
belt
turn
for
on the
me.
fireplace. Anyway, so we'll keep reading some of these comments in here. All right, so congratulations, very best of wishes in your future career. Ton of support. I love your story. Thank you for sharing precious testimony. As a convert, I do not take testimonies for granted. Each and every one is truly sacred. Lots of love. And then there are some weird comments that you get. kind of down here, there are some guys that are voicing some disagreement. Love your story. Thank you for posting. Best of luck. Some of the guys in these comments are saying, they're giving some emojis where they're like, oh man, this is kind of weird. A lot of these comments are hidden, but
Probably, yeah.
this is from Lori Ann. She said, "Who approved this? Good luck to him, but he should not be up as an example for young men. He promotes the gay lifestyle, which goes against the proclamation of the family. I'm positive that there are other better examples of a real disciple of Christ." There's a lot of people saying like, "Man, yeah, we should probably follow that." And then there are a lot of arguments going on within that post.
Yeah.
This one guy, he says, this is Rory PWJ. He says, this post creates a mountain of cognitive dissonance. I'm really not sure what those behind the scenes are really trying to say. So he's specifically calling out the social media department of the church. He's saying like, hey, what's going on here? You know, you have some splaining to do.
Yeah.
And some people are saying like, Logan, Rory PJW, huh? It's about a guy who loves to sew. What's the problem? What is the dissonance you are experiencing? I think there's not a lot to learn. There's a lot to learn to grow in there. That's a good thing. I appreciate you are able to recognize these feelings. He says, I didn't say I was experiencing it. I'm saying this post creates it. And it goes back and forth a little bit, but there are a lot of people on both sides that were saying, yeah, no, I really like this. The other side saying, no, I don't like this. So the ones that were saying that they loved this, they were saying they loved the story. The ones that were pushing back against it, they were like, hey, I don't necessarily believe that this guy is a great role model for our youth. And that requires a little bit of digging. So that is what we want to get into today. We want to dig into this because the question here, these member spotlights, these accounts, the social media arm of the church, who are they targeting? What is their target market? Who do you think?
You know, I honestly, I think that's my problem with it, is I don't know who the target audience is. Like, is the target audience like those who are outside of our church? Is the target audience those within the church that perhaps are on the fringes of it? Right? Like those individuals.
Right.
Now, I'm talking about stuff that they might not even want to mention, like the social media department per se. But if it's a member or if it's people that are outside the church, I don't see this being a net positive or a net negative. It certainly doesn't really speak about like the gospel of Jesus Christ. It doesn't really mention that too much. It's like it's always like it seems like always like an afterthought in some of these at the very bottom.
Right.
And so, yeah, I guess if you're a member on the or a person on the outside looking in and saying, well, this person is somebody that's a member of this faith tradition, I align with how that person is perhaps perceived by society, and therefore I'm the person that's going to take this and use it as a reason to investigate the church, then perhaps, but like,
yeah,
there's other posts that they've done
see
that
and
don't
I'll
really
take it one further. I think that the social media arm is specifically geared towards members who are more comfortable online, which to me means the rising generation, probably the youth.
Okay.
But, you know, I'm going to say boomers, they love them some social media too, you know, but I'm going to say mainly the rising generation is probably who it's aimed at. Right. So if we have this in our minds as the target is the rising generation, then it stands to reason that maybe we should vet out the person a little bit and figure out like, okay, is this a potentially good role model or not for the average youth who may come across this person? Because let's just say there's a youth that saw that post and says, hey, awesome, I'm going to follow this guy online. And so let's see where that takes us. Let us go down the rabbit hole here and figure out where this takes us. And let me see. We got right here. Boom. Let me know if you can see this.
Yeah.
Boom. There it is. Okay. So Pono Skousen. So last name Skousen. Boy, look at that. Of course he causes controversy with the last name of Skousen. You can't get away from that.
I mean, if he has any connections, The dude is lucky. All right.
Totally. He totally is. And so uh there are a lot of Scousins that I knew back in the day. Let me show you real quick right here. So this is the post that comes up. This is from his personal Instagram account, and you can see he runs an account called Church of Martin. Uh, this is a fashion brand that he has personally designed. So if you were an average youth, you see Mr. Pono's profile. He's from the post. The church is saying like, "Hey, this guy is great. Here's a highlighted member." The average member's youth sees this and says, "Oh, cool. He's got a clothing brand. Let me check it out." So let's go into the Church of Martin now. All right. So this is the Church of Martin. What are we seeing? What are our first thoughts here? So this first post, Martin Pride capsule now available. So we are talking about the Gay Scouts of America is what they are labeling this. It shows a bunch of pictures of men in kind of quasi scout uniforms, some embracing going on, some kind of crazy stuff. Uh, so that's kind of weird. Not
Yeah.
not 100%
So
comfortable
okay,
with
so
that.
I'm just gonna preface this with like I buy my clothes now at this point in my life at Sam's Club.
Yeah.
But what is if this is fashion, like what is going on here? All right, what is going on here?
Yeah. No, pretty mind-boggling to me. So I mean, you got like Gay Scouts of America down here. There there's a lot going on here. This one I love my Mormon boy, which I guess is a callback to for all of those who have been to a girls' camp. That's one of the popular girls' camp songs.
Oh
I
yeah, I
know
get
that
that.
because I've been invited to girls' camps before.
Oh, I get
That's a
that.
whole
I get that
song.
that ad from Angel Studios. The I once was a beehive. I get that
Right.
ad literally every ad. It's horrible. But yeah, I hear like
Oh, totally.
the songs. So I'm familiar.
Yeah. So we got that going on. And then in the meantime, we have the model. So this is a girls camp song, but the model is, from what I can tell, seems to identify as a he him. I don't want to assume his pronouns on that one, but it looks like a he him. And then we got Pono over here kind of tagging the model in there. So, oof, not super comfortable with a lot of what I'm seeing. If I'm saying that the most important thing here that we are creating positive role models for the youth. What are your reactions as you,
So
because you're a parent, you've got youth. What are you thinking when you see this?
slightly controversial here, but there is a portion of me that wants to say like grace is given where grace is due, right? Like
Mm,
how long like he mentions that he was like raised in the Relief Society or raised in the church. Like, are we assuming that he was raised in the church, right? Based off that like
right,
little
right.
bio. But we don't
Yes,
actually know where he is on his like faith journey and his understanding. So this
right,
could actually be the best. He could be legitimately doing the best that he can do with whatever like light and knowledge that he's been given. That being
right.
said,
So coming back to like
yeah,
the Jeff Strong argument, where it's like, hey, we need fewer gatekeepers in the church, and we need more gardeners. Where a
um,
gatekeeper would say, "Hey, look at what he's doing here. He's taking church phrases. This is a T-shirt that says currently struggling with same sex attraction." Uh, uh, and you're getting a lot of feedback from it. Mr. Charlie Bird, who is the big guy on campus, the big gay guy on campus that is going for like the in vitro fertilization. He's trying to have a baby with another guy, so he seems to be a supporter of this. He said, "Need this." Um, so I don't know. I look at a lot of this and I'm like, man, to me, I understand that argument of saying, yeah, we need fewer gatekeepers, we need more gardeners, as long as they are facing the right direction.
I
But the
think
right
so.
direction
No,
is
but so
like
like I guess
forsaking your past self and becoming a new
yeah.
creature in Christ,
Well,
right?
and
It's
that's
like,
essentially yeah, like that would be the other half of it, right? Like
Right.
That's not to say that he stays in like a sense of never like progressing past certain challenges that he might have.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, is it is it social media's job to influence my kids, or is it my job as a parent to influence my kids? Right? Like if I'm worried as a parent that my kids are going to go
Ooh,
on the
look at
internet.
that. Putting it back on the parents.
Well, I mean, if I'm nervous as a parent that my kids are going to go on the internet and take on the personalities that they find there, then
Yeah.
like I've already failed a couple steps back. Like it's not one of those things where, and this happens. It doesn't mean I fail per se, but like at the end of the day, your kids have agency to choose. You can only give them and teach them the principles of the gospel and the gospel
Yep.
message, and then it's up to them to choose. And I think with our parents, at least their generation, it was always like, here's the rules, they're clean cut, don't break them. But there was never like the why explanation to anything. It was always just like follow this rule, right?
Do this,
Or
and
else
you're
gonna get
face the consequences.
We're gonna cut the
Yeah.
cable.
Totally. Yeah.
And I don't think that that's a very effective model, right? Like I think if you want to counter stuff like this, you just teach the correct principles. So I don't know if that's like you said Jeff Strang.
Jeff Strong, the
Strong?
author of Torn. If you
Yeah,
remember Torn.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but I will say that's like a portion of my argument against stuff like this. It's like I think people oftentimes want to say like, "Oh, look at the church is doing. They're like promoting this person," but
Yeah.
I look at it like, yeah, the church, and I've said this earlier, like I don't think the church should even be like in this space at all. And
Right.
it's my responsibility to actually influence how my kids perceive the world around them and like give them like the why behind why we're here, with backed by scripture and like backed by my example. And I think that
Okay.
like a lot of people will take stuff like this and they kind of like, I don't want to say they blow it out of proportion, but I think they just read way too much into it. And then they put the onus on the church. And like this isn't the church. Like you said, this is like the social media arm of the church.
All right,
Unfortunately, though,
let's hear from the chat. I want to hear different opinions. Do you have the chat pulled up? Let's hear what some other people are saying. Chat, when you see comments like this, when you see stuff like this, like Gay Scouts of America, you're seeing like a bunch of men. Because
okay,
like he
is that not funny? Is that not funny though?
Like if you like gay stuff, I guess that's funny. I don't know. I mean, it's funny for me because I view it like his like it was like the gay kids kind of ruined Boy Scouts or something like that. I don't know if that's like the play that he's making, but here I'm looking at like he's making a lot of like dresses for men. Like he mentioned in his post, like, yeah, I learned how to sew a lot of dresses from the sisters in my ward. He forgot to mention that those dresses were for men. Like that he's actually making transgender apparel, which I'm like, wait a second, hold on a minute, what's going on there? Yeah, so chat, let me know what your thoughts are. What do you think when you see stuff like this going on? What are your thoughts as you see this? And Sam, if you want to catch those comments, I'm going to pull up another link.
Yeah, I mean, how far back, right? Because we just, I mean, sort of Laban mentioned a couple of things.
Yeah, let's go for it.
Okay, so actually, I'll start with Strong Bad Forever. He says, "Oh, he's actually referencing somebody else." Yeah. So I think the problem started when they hired
Homestar Runner.
I don't know the reference to that, but
oh man,
movie.
What a travesty!
But he says,
keep going.
He says, I think the problem started when they hired the current communications director. He's extremely progressive.
So they're bringing it back to Aaron Sherinian. Is that right?
But yeah, and here's the thing, like all cards on the table, I'm pretty conservative in my views. But like this instant want or desire to instantly shift it to like a viewpoint or a perspective, I think is still missing the mark. Like I said earlier, I don't think that the church should be doing this at all. Like there's I don't see the benefit of doing this. So somebody show me, please, somebody mention it in the comments. What is the benefit of the church even doing these member spotlights at all?
Right, right. Someone bring it out in the comment section. To me, it feels kind of like a liberal or a progressive thing. You remember for the longest time they said we want representation in media. And
Yeah.
so they would like celebrate when Ariel became like an African American Ariel, and then you had like Little Mermaid
Well,
and all that, and that was
okay.
celebrated. And
Their
then you had
argument
Moana,
was their
and then you
argument was
had
like
all of these other things.
Caribbean people, right?
And then Frozen, it was like, hey, we finally have a gay princess on screen. Hey, good for us, great. So I mean, I look at that and I'm like, hey, is that what's going on? Is that like the point, the purpose of these member spotlights is so that we can just kind of bring more awareness and more visibility to crowds that may feel like they are underrepresented? You know what I'm saying? But this is the other post that I wanted to bring up. This is from his fashion account. So right here, a lot of his stuff actually is pulling from the church, and this is the part where I'm starting to take issue with what I see from Pono. So a lot of the stuff that he's saying is like he's creating clothing. So these are two guys dressed in women's clothes. You got like the picture of the Savior in the background that's clearly from our church, and I'm like, what are we doing over here, Pono? Like, Pono, oh no, this is not what we do. We don't do this at all. So like where Jeff Strong is saying like, hey, let's not gatekeep anyone from the church as long as they are directionally facing the right way. If they are facing the Savior, but if they are facing the opposite way, which would be maybe like
Yeah,
wearing
and I'll agree with
dresses
you.
and
I'll
taking
agree with
pictures
you.
of the Savior and saying
Yeah.
like visitors welcome and I love my Mormon boy, creating specifically culture or clothing based on our culture, the counterculture of the church. To me, that seems a little icky. To me, that gets to a point where it's like, wait a second, are we actively supporting someone that is taking people out of the church? So as me, I'm a parent. I've got children, I've got youth, and it is 100% my job to make sure that they are on the straight and easy, right? It is my job to make sure that these guys they understand their covenants, they understand their covenantal relationship to God, but it is also my job to help them and teach them.
Yeah.
It's also my job to make sure that they are surrounded with good friends.
Sure. Certainly.
like
Certainly.
like I have there's a guy in my work, fantastic guy. He told me one time, he was like, hey, when we were kids or when we were younger, our kids had friends. And he's like, we had one neighbor kid would come over and play with our kids. And my wife and I just did not like this kid. We could see he was just not a good kid. He was introducing our son to some bad things. And so we just stopped inviting him over to our house. And eventually they stopped becoming friends. So the parents intervened, they got in front of that friendship, and they kept tabs on this kid. And guess where that kid wound up? Later in his later years, that bad friend ended up like completely addicted to drugs, just like in a pretty dark place.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying that that's necessarily what you should do in every scenario, but I am saying that those are two parents that understood their responsibility to their child and to God and said, if I want this kid to prioritize a covenant relationship with God in his life, then it's my job to make sure that he's interacting with friends that are going to elevate him. And so if we as parents are seeing role models that are being pushed from the church's social media department, and these role models they're sewing, they learned how to create ex-Mormon clothing from the Relief Society sisters. They're dressing up their friends and putting them into like these. This is like next level. This is like Walmart melatonin right here. I'm like, what in the world is going on? What kind of fever dream is this where you've got like Pioneer sister clothing in like a chapel or something like that? I have no idea what the whole goal of this is, but the
I will
result
say,
is
okay,
kind of wild. Yeah.
so this is okay. So there was, let's just look through this logically, right? There was a member
Yeah.
spotlight of Pono. Do you still have that like tab up?
Oh yeah. Hold on, I can pull it up real quick.
Let's
Right here. We
do
got
this
it.
little. Okay, so this is the one from Instagram.
Nope. Hold on. This is another one. We'll get to that one later. This one straight from the church. All right. Yep. This is
Okay.
the one.
So I can't really see it because it's kind of small, but is there anything on there that links that spotlight to his account directly?
No. It just shows his name and his picture.
Okay, not his
So
full
you have
name.
two elements. Yeah.
Not his full name though. So
Not full name. You got first
somebody
name.
has to literally seek out who this person is because I'm not familiar with like the fashion scene. So I don't know if this person's
Right.
like a popular like how many followers does he have on Instagram? Like a lot? Like
Hard to
more than
say.
average? Yeah, so like
I would say probably average, maybe more than average.
what's interesting about like the pushback to this, and once again, this is like a different perspective, right? Than most people are
Yeah.
probably going to give on this topic. Why were those people seeking out his main account to figure out who this person was? What was the
Mhm.
thought process behind it? Because everything from that article, I could just chalk it up to being like, yeah, that's just a like, why would they even do that member spotlight? What is the purpose of this member spotlight? But then I would like, that's really where my investigating ends.
You
But for
know,
some
I
people,
think
it's
I
not where it
think
ends. Some people actually want to find the actual account of this person and then investigate. So,
here it is. I'll tell you what's going on. You and I, we grew up in a generation of propaganda, right? Like we have been propagandized our entire lives. And so whenever we see something these days, I think we are so skeptical of everything that we have to fact check it just to make sure that this is aligned with our doctrine, that it isn't propaganda. And so somebody fact check this. I imagine they probably do this for every member spotlight. You know, you got members out there that are like, hey, let's just check and see that this guy is someone worth. Maybe it was a parent that was like, hey, my kids started following this after they published this. Let me do tap 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 Pono. You know, that's not a hard name to. So you got some blues clues in here. It's like, okay, New York City, Pono, Hawaiian, LDS, boop, and I'm sure you can figure out which profile is his from there. And so at that point, you're as the parent, you might, at a certain point, you're coming across like a bunch of guys in dresses, and then other guys in crop tops saying, I love my Mormon boy. And I would say, like, whoa, we're off the trail. What happened? How did we get here? And so they probably felt it prudential to say, like, hey, other parents, this is what's going on. I don't 100% really like what I see here. And that's concerning for me. Because do we have a duty as members of the church to support Pono? 100%. Like if
yes.
he's
Yeah.
active member of the church, and that's not what this is about. Like we're going to support him, rally behind him, love him, great. I love that he's staying active. He's finding ways to be a disciple of Jesus Christ. I support that. Now, what I don't support is when you start creating an entire ex-Mormon clothing line that could
Yeah.
very well be ripping people out of the church,
Yeah. No, I
where it's
agree
like,
with you
hey,
100%.
let me show how much I disagree with the church. So that's kind of what I'm seeing right now. Anyway, does that clear up that question for you?
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. For sure.
Cool. All right. So that's kind of where things have been with this controversy. So there are some other questions. So one of the primary questions that this begs, and this isn't like a temple recommend interview question necessarily saying like, oh, is Pono living? No. What I'm saying is when it comes to the church's social media department, this is a tip. So we're getting into the part of the show where we can give some takeaways. One of the takeaways for the social media department is maybe we try and highlight members who are, dare I say, living temple recommend worthy lives. Could or and one of those pesky questions on the temple recommend interview is, do you support or promote any teachings, practices, or doctrine contrary to those of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints? And so maybe call me crazy, but maybe someone in the social media department does a couple Google searches when they're about to do a member spotlight, and they just see like, hey, what is this person's background? Let's see what they're doing online. And if they find that this person is actively selling like an ex-Mormon gay clothing brand, maybe they say, I don't think that passes the interview question. You know,
Okay,
maybe this isn't someone that we should put in front of the youth.
so what you're
But go
saying
ahead.
is a single blurb at the end that says, "This is how I'm a disciple of Jesus Christ," isn't enough of a contrast with the world at large to warrant having that spotlight. Is what you're saying? Like there should be more of a contrast. I would say, if there's going to be a, I don't want to say a dumb member spotlight, but if there's going to be a member spotlight, I agree with you. It should be somebody who, not only, I honestly, I think it should be temple recommend holders. Like it should be people who are actually, who have
Oh,
received
hey, that
their.
would make it so much easier because then you could actually just look up their account, you know, like, hey,
No,
can you show me your temple
no.
recommend? Great. Hey,
I don't.
we can
Okay,
do a member
obviously,
spotlight on you now.
yeah.
Great. Problem solved.
But like there should be so much of a contrast. Like, oh, this person does this. Like, okay, so his story, his baseline story of fashion is okay, right?
Yeah.
But there should be more
Oh,
of a
totally. I have
contrast.
no problem with that. Yeah.
There should be more of a contrast with the rest of the world, where if the target audience is the person who's not a member of the church and reads it and says, "Hey, like I like fashion too, and I'm a male. Like I like designing clothes." But if the bulk of it is like this contrasting thing, like, yeah, I like this, but I also love serving my neighbors by helping make them clothes. I like, going out with the members of my ward and helping with this disaster relief. If a majority of it's that,
Right.
then
Right.
me as the outsider can say, he likes that. He's in this church. And there's also all this other stuff that I'm now interested potentially in because it's something different than me. Whereas I feel like when people read this from the outside, it's like, I resonate with this person completely. Oh, and then there's this afterthought of God or Jesus Christ or discipleship.
Right.
It's like it seems like an afterthought, which is where I really have the issue. And not, like I said, not all of them are
I like
that.
that. Yeah.
Not all of them are like that. Like
Yeah,
some of them
like-
actually, like in the beginning, it's like it mentions like their relationship with Jesus and like their family and all that stuff.
Or scriptures or things like that. You know, that would be fantastic.
And those are the non-controversial ones. The problem is every like third week, there's one that's not that.
Right. So this is coming from, so this is a guy named Matthew Watkins. So this is another, so he kind of voices what I feel like a lot of members are feeling right now online. He says, men in the church, priesthood session is gone, stake athletics is gone, priesthood opening exercises is gone, scouting is gone, the young men program has no structure, fathers and sons campouts are virtually gone. Men are the group at most risk of suicide in the ward. Feminism is taking over the congregations, and much of the messaging seems geared towards women. Do you have anything for us? Church PR department. Oh, for sure. Yeah, here's the story of a man. You'll love this. He attended Relief Society activities as a boy, dances ballet, and now he's a women's fashion designer in New York City. He wants to share his testimony about finding identity through clothing and the power in femininity. Men. Okay. That's cool, I guess. Good on him for keeping faithful in a tough cultural environment. There are definitely a few of us who still resonate with that, but do you have anything that will inspire the other 99% of us? Like a guy holding down a tough job to make ends meet, a guy who sacrifices so his kids can have a better future, a message of finding adventure and purpose in life, or building brotherhood in elders' core? Maybe? No? Nothing? Okay. Seriously, good on Pono. He called it Pono.
Yeah,
Pono for staying faithful in a very counter-gospel environment. I just look forward to the same supportive comments when the next article features a guy who works construction and finds fulfillment in barbecue competitions and MMA. What are your thoughts when you hear something like that?
So I have issues immediately with the first section, but like that's not new to.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like I have issues with. Once again, I've voiced these concerns or these issues before in previous episodes, but I don't like that people are disheartened or they don't appreciate the fact that like we got rid of scoutings or we made it more difficult for parents to have to raise their kids and not other people raise their kids for them. Right. Like,
so you're upset that people are complaining about what the church has done. So it's kind of like a victim. Are you saying it's like a victim mentality? Is that what you're getting at?
The beginning lines is all him complaining about the stuff the church no longer does for you. Essentially. it's a very like lazy culture where it's like I want to bring my kid and drop him off at activities on Wednesday, right? And then I'll pick
Right.
him up in an hour and I won't participate at all or be a part of it or whatever. And it's like it's
Okay.
very, and that's the problem I had with scouts. It was scouts was I can turn my brain off and I can just run through this thing, right? I don't have to think
Yeah.
about it. I don't have to you do have to plan, but you
Now,
didn't really
now
have
I
to.
will offer a little bit of pushback
Sure,
because
certainly.
I mean,
I was never a
if we
scoutmaster
look at the Book of
myself.
Mormon, we look at the Book of Mormon. If Moroni didn't complain to Pahoran, his whole people would have been lost, right?
Yeah.
Like I see his complaints. The point that I think he's making is that as men, we're just losing so much ground in the culture, and it seems like the culture is infiltrating the church. And it seems like
Yes.
the culture is causing us to lose more and more ground among men who are actually outnumbering women in the pews. And so it's like, wait a second, we could come in clutch right now when a lot of men are coming back to church, they're coming back to religion. If we had, something, then that would be
Yes.
phenomenal. Now, President Nelson back in 2018 did say we are at a hinge point. This is home-centered church. So I
Yes.
think that is definitely worth re-mentioning. So just
See,
to your
the
part over there,
yeah,
but I do understand the value of complaining. Complaining has a point, it has a purpose to it. And I think so
hopefully.
I'm okay with that. Murmuring, that's what Layman and Lemuel were doing,
Oh
right? They were just
gosh.
like, I hate this. There was no point to it. It was just like, all right.
But that's I
But
mean, but that's the issue. It's like I feel like the people that had the easiest time transitioning when these programs were taken away were the people that are still they're doing it. They're actually doing it day to day. They're taking on the extra
mm,
responsibility. Perhaps they're even saying they're repenting of things like, yeah, I actually wasn't teaching my kids a lot. And now that I have that we had to do the third hour, right, with our families after church. And I should have probably been doing that anyways. And so, like,
right, right.
that's the thing is like, I don't think the church should be imposing a culture upon us at all, right? The culture should be what we learn from the scriptures and from the prophets. But like the social media arm defining what the culture is of the church, like, I don't know. I think that's where we run into trouble where it's like even the more conservative stuff where it's like, or not conservative, but like the older views of like how we prophets are infallible, right? We had this
Right, right.
like this weird era where it was like prophets can't make any mistakes. The scriptures are perfect. Like these very different or other perspectives that shouldn't have been part of the church culture, but they're imposed upon the
Yeah.
church from the members.
Now,
So
after having talked to dads for a really long time, I understand exactly where these guys are coming from. So let me show you. Let me give you an example. So if you're a straight white male in the age of 2026, your entire life, society has been putting you here at the very bottom of the totem pole ever since you were a kid. It's like I didn't get into BYU. I got sent up to Rexburg because of the color of my skin, my gender, and where I grew up. That's 100% what was happening there. I met other guys that had a different color skin, that had lower grades than I did, that had worse academic performance overall, that got into BYU Ida or BYU Provo. And I was like, wait a second, hold on, wait a minute. So there are definitely differences. So society's a net negative. The church should be a positive for men.
yeah,
Should be a place where they can find refuge and sanctuary and stuff like that. So when the church starts sounding like society, then that's no bueno, right?
yeah,
Like that means that there's just no change. And so it leads a lot of men to start getting into a dark place where they're like, "Well, crap, where am I supposed to go to find refuge from this?" And of course, it's Jesus Christ. And I think as leaders, it's on us to
yeah,
help point men to Jesus Christ in great ways. One of the ways you
certainly.
could do that is by highlighting in your member spotlight ways that guys are doing that in their lives. Call me crazy, but I think that would be a great opportunity. Like, hey, here's a guy. He's got kids. He's doing his best. He's hanging in there. Life's tough. We're trying to make a living, but man, these times are hard. So it's like growing up in a boomer's paradise, life is super expensive. It's really hard to have kids. I would love to see more examples coming from the church of like a guy who has a lot of kids, but who's just like digging in and making it work and just saying like, I'm putting my trust in God and I've seen miracles. And these are the miracles. This is where my faith is getting me. That
Yeah.
can motivate other men who are on the fence about having kids to say like, I'm doing it. Let's do it, honey. Let's have more kids. I believe we can make this work. I think that would be fantastic. But if we got men in there and then they're hearing from society, from the outside world, like, oh, you guys are pieces of garbage and you got to be more homosexual, that'll fix you. And then they get posts from the church. They're like, hey, you got to be more homosexual. That's good for you. It's like, there's no call to action in that. There's nothing. And so, one of the takeaways for me, all right, is I'm looking at like Pono. He's got a funky clothing brand. I would say like, hey, I mean, you do you, man. Like, but I would say like I overall support that he is still trying to be active. He's still trying to do his thing.
Assuming that is the case.
Yeah. My main issue here is with the social media department. It seems like the same rainbow colored feminist flag waving gal who pushed the last post of the guy who was like, yeah, I don't know what I want to do in life, but my wife is amazing and she's super cool and she's going to be a doctor. We're not going to have kids because I don't want her to be saddled with those kids, and I'm just okay to be your super fun sidekick. And I think the same finger that published that may have published this one too. And to me, I have an issue with that. I have an issue that there's not like it doesn't seem like the vetting process is necessarily aligned with core doctrine or aligned with the family proclamation or aligned with promoting good role models to the youth and to members.
So you're totally okay with there still being like a member spotlight? Like,
I'm fine with it. Are you, as long as the members that they're publishing, that they're putting the spotlight on, are actually obeying the doctrine, and maybe heaven forfend temple worthy. Like, I know that might be too much to ask, but
what if, like, I understand like social media takes like such a huge role in society today, so like the church needs to be like forward of it, but like I don't see. I mean, they would really have to like just double down on the same things over and like I just don't think it's a space they need to be in. But it's unfortunate because they have to be in the space.
Right.
So it's like,
so if they have to be there, what is your opinion? So like, what would
exactly
you like to
exactly what you're saying? Like, I want to see.
Okay, yeah.
I want to see what they want to promote, and I don't think that this is what they want to promote. But it's unfortunate because the church has to get so like the brethren aren't monitoring this. That
right,
I mean,
right. Like this isn't coming from the
almost
brethren. You know that the brethren aren't seeing that. They aren't seeing like two guys in dresses in front of the picture of the Savior being posted on this clothing store and going like, let's get that in front of the members. That's a great idea.
Yeah, and I hate to say this, but they probably aren't even seeing their own social media posts. Like somebody else is probably doing that for them from their own work, like their own stuff. Like I don't obviously we're not. I don't know if you think this, but I don't think that they're doing managing their own social media.
Oh no! I don't think so. No. It's I look at it this way. It's from a PR perspective. I believe they probably have a whole department for that. But there is, I think, if I were to get inside the minds of kind of some of the top people in the church, I imagine that some of the older minds in the church view social media as kind of like the fun thing that the kids do. Like, hey, my nephew does the internet. That's great. Good for you. Yeah, fantastic.
And that's why I used to love Holland's President Holland's stuff, because it was like, he was this is my scripture study for today, and it was like so like it seems so off the cuff and like just natural, like what he's doing, instead of just like a clipped of his devotional
hyper produced.
Yeah, like those are cool too, but like I want to see like them, right, like in their natural day to day. But yeah, like I think that it's a problem because I don't want them to spend time monitoring the social media arm of the church department, but it's needed. But it's not like a calling that requires like you to have any keys or anything. So it's like, you know, are they set apart? Probably not.
Yeah.
If you're hired, like there's a standard you have to like probably.
No. I know exactly how this is happening. So I discussed this in the last time we talked about the church's queer posting behaviors. And what I found is if you go on Indeed, the church actually will post for social media managers, social media content creators, things like that. The average salary from that is going to get you around like $40,000 to $50,000 a year max. And the church isn't known for really growing you in that position. Like you're going to lock in at a salary and you're going to stay there.
Yeah.
So the average man who is following the teachings of the church, having a family, having kids, living in northern Utah,
It's probably successful
where
somewhere else.
like a double wide is going to cost you like, let's say 700,000, you know, at the low end, and you're getting a great deal.
You're at the base of the mountain.
'50s.
You're at the base of the mountain.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. So that's not going to do much for you. So most men that are obeying the teachings, keeping their covenants, trying to do their best, they're not going to apply for that job. The women who apply for that job and are also living the values of the church, they're probably going to be with child or children. So if it's not a work from home option, which if I had to guess, I would say it's probably not a work from home option. They probably don't have a remote option for that.
Probably not.
So all of the faithful, active women in the church who have testimonies are probably at home. So what does that leave you? The gals that probably skew more progressive and liberal are probably taking those jobs and saying, hey, how do I get my world, my ideology into these posts? That's kind of my running hypothesis. I pitched that out last time, and I had a few people reach out on Instagram, and they said, yeah, you know, I actually know a handful of gals in the social media department of the church, and it turns out you were right. They do lean more progressive and stuff like that. So, I mean, it is anecdotal. Take it for what you will, but that's still my running hypothesis. But before we put a bow on this, I wanted to share, because if we have to do a member spotlight, let's do it up right. Okay, so I didn't just come with complaints; I came with a replacement. So just like
finally.
Just like a good fest. You know, it's like Lent, where you're supposed to take away something but replace it with something good. Here is my version of that. This is the non-gay Lent that we're doing for the socials, the church's member spotlight. I texted out because I run a group of dads. I know a ton of dads who have great stories that are putting in the reps. They're showing up every day. They're doing the work. They're making it happen. And so let's get into this. I had one send me over a submission just today, and his name is Charles. This is Charles. Charles works in the oil industry, I believe in the oil fields. And so he spends half the year in Canada and then the other half of the year in Texas. Charles has 5 kids. Count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He has 5 children. And his wife stays at home and watches those children. So this is from Charles. Job 14:1. I asked him, like, hey, just send me something for a member spotlight on you. He said Job 14:1 alludes that life will be full of troubles and challenges, but the gospel of Jesus Christ brings lasting peace despite those troubles and challenges, because the atonement and grace of Christ apply a guarantee that all will be better. Modern revelation clarifies that this is a truth taught to us from before we came to this frame of existence, and perhaps some of the comfort we feel is actually our spiritual memories being pricked. My dad's health is failing and has been for some time. So my siblings and I have begun to address some of the end-of-life matters. But one comfort felt during these events is the knowledge that our eventual separation is temporary, which is also found through the grace of Jesus Christ. The lasting peace that believers can find should be shared to help others find their way to the truth. As more of our brothers and sisters find and live that peaceful life, we can increase the peace in our homes, neighborhoods, communities, and nations. We can make make a reality the line from Longfellow. God is not dead, nor doth he sleep. The wrong shall fail, the right prevail, with peace on earth, good will to men. Charles, what a poet. All right. He needs to get out of the oil fields and he needs to get into the books, because that guy, he's got a lot of poet there. Let's give big W in the chat for Charles. He's hanging in there. I would love to see more examples like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
More examples of faithful, active.
That was great.
Dads. He's
He
going
literally
through a tough time.
Started off with the scripture, tied it into the restoration, talked about his very difficult situation, how the restoration or the gospel of Jesus Christ answers that question, that burning deep question within him, and gives him comfort. And then, like, dude, that is a member spotlight. I agree. That's perfect. Perfect.
That's a member spotlight. So hopefully there is a gal. And if anyone watching this sees a gal from the church, just copy the timestamp where we talk about that, show that to them, and hopefully we can raise the standard a little bit, please, for crying out loud. Or can we get a manager in there? Like, what is the takeaway? How do we right the ship on this one? Because I'm a parent. My kids will eventually get social media, probably not while they're in my house, but at some point they will be turning to social media. If they were to follow the church account and they start following the people that the church is promoting, then that I would worry that could lead them out of the church and away from the gospel that I spent years of my life sacrificing to teach them about. So I want them to know people who are actually doing the right way, living the covenants, keeping it, and keeping God at top priority. So any other takeaways for you, or any suggestions that you would have for the social media department of the church, so that in the future, maybe these posts are maybe perhaps a little bit better vetted?
Maybe perhaps we don't do a good job of complaining, like actually formally complaining. Maybe it's our fault.
It's our fault.
Because maybe we're just complaining on the internet, but we're not complaining to the people who would actually hear the complaints.
So like the people in the PR department, like, so you're saying we should, like, if they have a suggestion box, we should write our suggestions and put it in that box. All right, anyone down at the Cobb, go to the Cobb and write your suggestion down and just say, hey, can we not have gay member spotlights anymore?
Hey, we could look.
But no. It's okay to have that, but it's like, can we better vet the member spotlights so that it doesn't promote people that are actively creating clothing lines that are,
or just
supporting
ex-Mormon clarification. Just ask them for the clarification. Who is this? Who's the target audience? And are you reaching that target audience with this person? And then screenshot like what you've done, like the research you've done on the person. Like, is this the perception you're trying to give off? Because they could have just messed up that week. It's unfortunate because it's like a huge account.
Maybe they did. Grace where grace is due. Like, maybe someone was like, hey, let's get, like, they were like, hey, we're an international church. We got millions of members. Who should we interview? How about Pono from New York City? I don't know. That seems a little bit too random.
Yeah, I like fashion. Like, he likes fashion.
Let's like, if this were a probability, like, what's the statistical probability that out of a random sampling of members, you pick one who is actively promoting
0%.
the Charlie Bird shadow faith of the church?
Yeah, it's like point something.
What?
Naturally occurring. It's point something. Yeah, but
yeah. So yeah, the odds of that happening are slim to none. Yeah. But maybe, hey, here's another idea for the church social media department. Hey, I hope they're writing this down. Get a pen and paper out. Write this down. Just select members from, like, Africa. Maybe some of like some other exploding areas of the church. I think members in North America would love that. South America, like, get some of these members out here that don't have a whole, like, ex-Mormon culture and community of people that are actively trying to take people out of the church. It's like, hey, maybe we just highlight some more members around the world. I think that would be fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think those are my suggestions. In the age of home-centered church, what is the takeaway? What is the average dad supposed to take away from this? For me, as the average dad, it reinforces to keep your kids off of social media. Just like keep them all the way off of social media for as long as you can. And before you bring them on, prepare them, just like Captain Moroni. Prepare your kids. Make sure that they know what the doctrine is. Make sure they know to hold to their covenants. Make sure that they know, like, even if they're not getting positive messaging from the church about men and masculinity and masculine spaces, you can do that yourself in your home. Do the best you can. Create your own father and sons campouts. It's not as easy or as convenient, but it is as impactful. So I would say do the best you can with what you got in the age of home-centered church. And I think that's my takeaway. Before we wrap up, what about you?
I think just trust that Jesus Christ will make all things right. Like I used to be a worrier, right? Like I used to worry, but I also knew that like I know that my parents now currently they worry about like their children, like my siblings. But it's like in the end, everybody has their agency to choose. And I felt like my parents sufficiently prepared me to make my own decisions. Initially, I chose the wrong decisions, but I've learned a lot from my wrong decisions. But what always was there is what you said, like the principles of like you're taught your children what they needed to know. And so like I don't expect the church's social media account to teach my kids anything. I don't even expect when I bring my kids to church that the church is the physical building, the people in it are going to teach my kids anything. That's okay. Like if they do, that's great. It's an added benefit. It's my responsibility though to teach my kids. It's not theirs. And so they support me by providing me with the ecclesiastical structure of individuals who are able to participate or make the ordinances available. They make the sacrament available on Sunday. They establish a ministering program. Aside from that, it's on me to participate and make that community. And so nobody else is going to do it for me. And so, yeah.
That's a good attitude. Nobody's coming to save you. I think that's an attitude that most men need.
And he's already saved
Jesus is going to save you, nobody else. So just be proactive,
Don't say it like that. That makes it sound bad.
Figure it out. Nah. No. It's kind of like the obstacle is the way a little bit. It's leaning back into just like, hey, if you're waiting for the church to come and fix your problems, you're going to be waiting for a long time. Captain Moroni didn't wait for the church to tell him what to do. He went out and he did things. He got stuff done. And that's what made him so successful. And so it's like, if we are in the age of home-centered church, we should be adopting that mentality of like, hey, let's make sure that we prepare our kids in the rising generation correctly.
Somebody did mention in the comments, like, yeah, it's home-centered church supported, so the church should be supporting it, and I do agree with that. I'm not
totally
gonna put that out there. Like,
church supported, and the support that we could get, maybe like if the elders quorum, call me crazy, if the elders quorum could like schedule a couple campouts a year, that would be so helpful. Because doing a camp out yourself, it takes a ton of work. It's a lot of planning. It's it's a lot of food and expense and stuff like that. If the ward is doing that, it makes it that much easier to get momentum and to get it on the books. But at the end of the day,
more virtual treks.
Virtual treks, yes, VR treks. Yeah, let's get those out. 100%. Yeah, that goes back to another episode we did. All right, well, we are getting close to our time, so we're probably going to wrap up here. In the meantime, if you are in a dead elders quorum, if you are in a space that has shrunk and you're like, I have nowhere to go, that is why we created For the Strength of Dads. So you can check that out at strengthofdads.com. That's strengthofdads.com. We have a space in there. We're talking faith, family, finance. We have a new space where men can create their own goals and find accountability partners. We have we have virtual events. So we have a virtual AMA, completely anonymous, with a licensed therapist who also grew up in the church. Great guy, active member. And then we also have games nights. We game a few times a week. So if you need guys to hang out with, if you need a space, That's why we created For the Strength of Dads. So check that out, strengthofdads.com. And until next time, my name is Hayden Holm. This is Salty Saints. If you haven't subscribed already, be sure to do so we can actually reach more men so that they don't have to just be reached by Pono and the church's social media department. So until next time, my name is Hayden Holm. We got Sam St. Laurent, and this is Salty Saints.